I don't really know about you guys, but personally, I fucking hate like over-competitive gamers that just ruin the fun for everyone else. Now don't get me wrong, I love a good comp match now and then. I cut my teeth in ranked in Overwatch, Apex, and Halo. Even tried my hand at some ranked StarCraft 2 back in the day. But the gaming hobby in general has gotten way too full of itself and flooded with these wannabe esports pros and Twitch streamers. Many games try to quarantine these players into ranked playlists, but you still get this overpour of sweatlords into what are meant to be more casual modes. It's really hard to find that perfect balance between a game that's casual enough that you can kind of kick back and play it with some tunes in the background and mess around with the boys, but one that isn't so mind-numbingly easy and can actually reward you for being good, and can sometimes be a pretty nail-biting test of skill. For me, Chivalry 2 is that game right now. It strikes that balance for me. Chivalry 2 offers a good combat system with a deceptively high skill ceiling, but still being very beginner friendly. You can load up the game and just run into the enemy line swinging a battle axe wildly and get some kills and have a good time. But if you really want to pour your soul into this game and learn all the different nuances, it's there for you. You can learn things like ducking and dodging, heavy attacks, block breakers, kicks, weapon throwing, counter attacking, like this shit just goes on. If you want to really hone your skills in more like duel-like scenarios, there's a more competitive 1v1 and 3v3 playlist, but for me, the real meat of the game is the large-scale 64-player mode. It really puts you on the ground in the boots of a soldier in a huge medieval clusterfuck battle. Just spawning in as a group with your teammates and running in letting out war cries is fun in itself. The large player count in these modes and just the nature of the hand-to-hand combat can create such a chaotic battlefield that even if there are a few enemies that are pretty sweaty and have mastered this game on the other team, you honestly won't even run into them very often, especially not in a 1v1 scenario. Often they'll just get mobbed by like 8 people at once. And if you do happen to run into one of these guys in a 1v1 scenario and you're a pussy, the combat is usually slow enough that you might be able to pull off a blocker, a dodge, and just tuck tail and run the opposite way. I guess what I'm saying is in this game, high-skilled players still get to feel badass and like they're doing awesome things when you pull off a 1v3 or you top the scoreboard or get a sick double kill or something. But most of the time, they don't really do enough to demoralize the opponents like in other games. I'm kind of serious, like, when I get my ass kicked in Halo, I'm like, oh, fuck this guy, I hate this game, ah! When I get my ass kicked in Chivalry, I'm like, oh, fuck, that guy's really good at the game. But what really makes this game great for me is that the devs made it with a sort of tongue-in-cheek sense of humor. It's got complexity, but it doesn't take itself too seriously. Like, one second you're watching a guy get fucking decapitating and seeing pools of blood everywhere in this horrific battle, and the next you see someone using the outhouse or throwing a chicken at you. Every map is littered with environmental weapons or items to pick up, and most of them are really goofy and lighthearted. They added things like booze that you can drink, instruments you can play. I mean, you can literally throw shit at people. And I think it really went a long way in building a community for this game that doesn't take itself too seriously either. In Chivalry 2, it's a pretty common sight to see a blood-fueled raging battle on the front line, only to find a few homies tucked away in a corner teabagging and chilling with the enemy team, getting in honorable fisticuffs matches, emoting, or just plain goofing off. The game has endless little things to find joy in, and it's one of the most wholesome player bases I've ever seen. Chivalry is also really rich with like features and stuff. There's always new stuff on the way, and I haven't even really mentioned a ton of stuff. Like there's archery in this game if you're into trick shots or just want to switch it up with some ranged combat. There's usable artillery pieces like the ballista or the catapult that actually requires a player to manually load each shot. There's horseback mounted combat where you can literally use any weapon from the back of a horse. I mean, speaking of weapons, there's like 40 different main weapons for you to try, so you can really find the one that speaks to you. One of my personal favorites is the glaive. You can just like hit swaths of people at once with it. There's also a huge amount of unlockable cosmetics for your armor and weapons to fine-tune your look. There's factions and faction-specific cosmetics. There's 4 different classes to choose from with all their little different subclasses and support abilities. And each map, the maps by the way are huge. You'll start on like a beachfront landing and then run your way up this hill and take the gatehouse and push through a town into a keep, and then you have to fight a guy. Like, it's kind of like Invasion from Halo Reach. Like, you do one part of the map and then you complete the objective, and it's attackers versus defenders, and it like opens up more and more of the map. And these maps are some of the biggest I've ever seen, and they do really quirky fun things with the objectives too. They throw a couple curveballs at you to keep the maps unique. Like there's one map where the defenders are guarding this church, and when the enemies finally get to the gate of the church and they're bashing it down, a handful of the defenders have the option to switch and play as battle monks who spawn inside the church, and you get special emotes where you can pray or sing hymns as the church door gets bashed down and the enemy rush in to finish you off. Or there's like another one where the defending team starts the match as peasants working in fields with like pitchforks and shovels, and all the enemy knights run in and start slaughtering you, and only after dying as a peasant can you respawn as proper knights. Things like this just breed fun and engagement and life into the game and the community. It makes the maps feel special, and it's how you end up with shit like this. All in all, if you have the chance and you think a medieval fighting game sounds really fun, you should give Chivalry 2 a chance. If you're looking for something where you can take it really seriously, learn the juices of the game, get in there with your... If you're looking for something you can really get yourself into, learn the ins and outs of, Chivalry 2 has that for you. And if you're kind of just looking for something to kick back and play with the boys, Chivalry 2 can really be a riot. But you know what's even more of a riot? Becoming a Roadman member. Members get access to early videos up to 3 days early, watch the shit before anyone else. There's even members exclusive videos, and if you get the highest tier, you can even request personalized content, which means I can make a video that you recommend. Like if you want to make a video on Crash Bandicoot or a video on Joe Biden, just let me know. And if you want me to work with you on a video for your own channel, that's what that